Though they have their limits, Sigma males can be surprisingly and intensely angry when pushed too far, in contrast to more outwardly expressive people. We frequently think of them as calm and collected. Anger in a Sigma male frequently shows up in surprising ways. Their typically composed demeanor may abruptly change, displaying a side that is rarely seen from icy staircases to abrupt, decisive acts. You never know what a Sigma guy is really capable of until he is pushed to his breaking point. The way a Sigma exhibits fury can surprise people. It is not about expected outbursts or yelling battles, but rather a deliberate intensity that is difficult to ignore. Here are 6 horrifying things that can occur when a Sigma male loses his temper. 1. He becomes deadly silent. When a Sigma male goes silent, it's not an act of passivity. It's a warning. Silence in his world is not an absence of thought, but a sharpening of it. While the average man reacts impulsively, venting frustration through words or actions, the Sigma retreats into the depths of his own mind, where strategy and patience reign supreme. And that's what makes him so formidable. Let's break it down. When most people argue, they escalate through words, yelling, complaining, defending themselves. But the Sigma male knows that words can be a distraction, a weakness even. He doesn't waste energy explaining himself or engaging in fruitless debates. Instead, he observes. He listens. He absorbs everything, your tone, your body language, your intent. He's not just hearing what you say. He's analyzing what you don't. This is the power of controlled silence. Studies in psychology suggest that silent individuals often command more respect in social dynamics because people instinctively fear the unknown. A person who yells shows his hand, but a man who simply stares, who nods, who smirks without a word, that unsettles people. It forces them to second-guess their position, their words, and their entire approach. The Sigma male operates on this level of mastery. His silence isn't avoidance. It's calculation. Like a grandmaster in chess, he's already thinking 5 moves ahead. He's assessing whether the situation is even worth his energy. Because if he does decide to respond, it won't be an emotional out. It will be deliberate, surgical, and, most importantly, effective. Ever notice how the most dangerous predators in the wild don't roar before they strike? A lion doesn't announce its attack. It moves in silence, conserving energy for the decisive moment. The Sigma male follows the same principle. He doesn't roar. He doesn't flail. He waits, biding his time until action is necessary. And when he does act, it's not reckless aggression. It's precise and calculated. Maybe it's a single sentence that dismantles your entire argument. Maybe it's walking away and making you realize just how much you underestimated his presence. Or maybe it's a move so subtle yet so effective that you don't even realize what's happening until it's already over. So if a Sigma male suddenly falls silent, don't mistake it for surrender. It's a sign that he's thinking, planning, and, if necessary, about to make a move you won't forget. 2. His body language becomes lethally controlled. When anger flares up, most men let it take control. Flailing arms, raised voices, faces flushed with rage. They react impulsively, letting their emotions dictate their actions. But a Sigma male, his anger operates on a completely different frequency. A Sigma doesn't lose himself in the heat of the moment. Instead, he embodies the very definition of controlled power. His posture, unshaken, his eyes, locked in, his voice, low and steady. A Sigma understands an important psychological truth. Power isn't about volume. It's about presence. Studies in behavioral science confirm that true dominance doesn't come from shouting or physical outbursts. Instead, it comes from the ability to maintain control when everyone else is losing theirs. This is the essence of cold anger, the kind that doesn't explode but instead simmers beneath the surface, deliberate and calculating. It's the difference between a wildfire that burns uncontrollably and a controlled blaze that consumes only what is necessary. The psychology behind Sigma anger. A Sigma male's ability to regulate his emotions is rooted in emotional intelligence, a trait linked to leadership and influence. Research in psychology shows that people who can maintain composure under stress are perceived as more competent, reliable, and even intimidating. In contrast, men who react explosively appear weak and desperate for control. The more a person struggles to contain their emotions, the more transparent their vulnerabilities become. But a Sigma, his anger is like a sharpened blade, precise, silent and deadly when necessary. Why a Sigma's anger is so terrifying. 1. He doesn't react. He responds. While others are shouting and lashing out, a Sigma is already calculating his next move. He waits, observes, and chooses his words carefully, making each one cut deeper than any outburst ever could. 2. His silence is deafening. When a Sigma is angry, he doesn't waste energy on meaningless arguments. Instead, his lack of reaction leaves others unsettled, wondering what's coming next. 3. He controls the room without saying a word. A Sigma's unwavering composure demands attention. When he speaks, people listen, not out of fear of his words, but out of fear of what he's capable of. In a world where men are told that power comes from dominance, Sigma proves otherwise. Real power. It comes from self-control, and that's what makes him truly dangerous. 3. He withdraws and comes back with a plan. When most people get mad, they explode. Their emotions take over, and they lash out with impulsive words or reckless actions. They fight, argue, or shout, leaving behind a trail of regret. But a Sigma male, he doesn't waste his energy on emotional outbursts. He disappears, not out of fear, but out of strategy. The vanishing act. A tactical retreat when a Sigma male is pushed to anger. He vanishes into the shadows, sometimes physically, but always mentally. This isn't avoidance. It's calculation. While others burn themselves out in emotional chaos, the Sigma withdraws into deep reflection, analyzing every aspect of the situation. What really happened? Who was at fault? What is the smartest course of action? This is what makes a Sigma different. He doesn't respond immediately. He responds correctly. The chess master's mindset, while the world thinks he's simply cooling off, he's actually studying the board, predicting moves, and preparing his own. Anger doesn't blind him. It sharpens him. Like a chess master, he doesn't make a move without thinking 5 steps ahead. If he was betrayed, he ensures it never happens again. If he was disrespected, he reclaims his power in a way that leaves no doubt. If someone tried to manipulate him, they won't get a second chance when the Sigma strikes back. A Sigma doesn't return with empty threats or pointless arguments. When he acts, it's decisive. It's a checkmate move. He has no interest in petty revenge, but in restoring balance on his terms. Sometimes that means cutting people off without explanation. Other times it means making a power move that forces respect. And occasionally it means nothing at all, because knowing he has control is enough. Real danger. A Sigma male's silence is not weakness. It's a warning. His patience is not submission. It's preparation. And when he finally acts, the game is already over. 4. He doesn't seek revenge. He seeks justice. Revenge is a game for the emotionally undisciplined, and Sigma males don't waste their energy on petty retaliation. While others might stew in anger, plotting childish payback, the Sigma takes a different route, one that is colder, more calculated, and far more effective. The art of silent justice. A Sigma understands that true power isn't in reckless revenge, but in ensuring justice is served in a way that leaves no room for doubt. If a fake friend betrays him, he doesn't argue, complain, or seek validation. Instead, he exposes the deception, not through drama, but through irrefutable actions. For example, if a coworker tries to undermine him, the Sigma doesn't get sucked into office politics or passive-aggressive games. He quietly gathers evidence, strategically dismantles their credibility, and ensures they're held accountable. The result: the betrayer falls on their own sword, and the Sigma walks away with his integrity intact, the ultimate cutoff. When a Sigma erases you, a Sigma male's version of retaliation isn't about inflicting pain. It's about removing his presence so thoroughly that the betrayer starts questioning reality. One day, they exist in his life, and the next, it's as if they never did. No explanations, no second chances. Psychologically, this is devastating. People expect a fight, a chance to manipulate the situation. But when a Sigma withdraws, leaving them alone with their own mistakes, it forces them to reflect. The silence speaks louder than any insult ever could. The ripple effect, changing his enemies' mindsets. Here's what makes a Sigma different. His form of justice forces people to rethink their entire approach to life. Unlike petty revenge, which satisfies the ego, but changes nothing, Sigma's response has a long-term impact. His former enemies don't just regret crossing him. They learn a lesson. They see firsthand what happens when you betray someone who refuses to play by the usual rules. It's a wake-up call, one that makes them reconsider their toxic ways. In the end, a Sigma male doesn't just get even, he makes sure the lesson sticks. And that's why his silent wrath is more powerful than any outburst of anger. 5. He uses his anger as fuel for greatness. History is filled with men who let anger consume them, burning bridges, destroying relationships, and ultimately sabotaging their own potential. But the Sigma male, he understands that anger is neither good nor bad, it's simply energy. And energy, when harnessed correctly, can move mountains. The greatest empires, revolutions, and innovations weren't born from comfort or passivity. They were ignited by a fire deep within. Controlled rage has built nations, fueled scientific breakthroughs, and driven men to break past limits society said were impossible. Anger itself isn't the problem. It's what you do with it that matters. Weak men react. Sigma males respond. When a Sigma is betrayed, doubted, or underestimated, he doesn't lash out emotionally. He doesn't throw tantrums or seek revenge in petty ways. Instead, he internalizes that fire, refines it, and turns it into pure, unstoppable ambition. His anger becomes fuel for the late nights spent building his empire, for the strategic moves that leave his doubters speechless, for the discipline that turns him into a force to be reckoned with. Take men like Nikola Tesla, overlooked, ridiculed, and cast aside. But instead of wasting time in bitterness, he revolutionized the world with electricity. Or Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor who faced betrayals and wars yet transformed his challenges into wisdom, becoming one of the greatest leaders in history. These men didn't let rage destroy them. They wielded it like a weapon. A Sigma understands the power of silence. He doesn't waste time in meaningless arguments or emotional outbursts. While others are shouting, he is working. While they are breaking down, he is building. His success isn't a response. It's a statement so powerful that those who doubted him will have no choice but to watch in awe, because nothing is more terrifying than a man who turns his rage into results. 6. He walks away and never looks back. The final and most terrifying thing about an enraged Sigma male, he knows when to walk away forever. Unlike most people who struggle to cut ties, cling to toxic relationships, or seek closure, a Sigma male operates on an entirely different level. He has mastered the art of detachment, a skill that makes him both powerful and unpredictable. When he decides that someone no longer deserves his energy, the decision is instant, permanent, and absolute. No dramatic goodbyes, no fiery confrontations, no drawn-out explanations, just a cold, calculated exit that leaves the other person bewildered and powerless. The Sigma male doesn't believe in wasting time on people who drain his energy or betray his trust. He values efficiency in all aspects of life, including relationships. While others might hold on due to nostalgia, guilt, or fear of loneliness, a Sigma sees emotional baggage as dead weight, and he doesn't carry what no longer serves him. The silence he leaves behind is deafening. There's no final message, no farewell speech, just an eerie emptiness that lingers long after he's gone. The people he cuts off are left questioning everything. Was it something I said? Something I did? They replay past conversations, searching for clues, but they'll never get an answer. The lack of closure becomes a psychological torment, gnawing at them in moments of quiet. This is the Sigma male's ultimate power, his ability to erase someone from his life as if they never existed. And the most unsettling part, he doesn't look back. He doesn't dwell on the past, seek revenge, or wonder how the other person is coping. He moves forward, completely unburdened. In a world where people crave validation and closure, the Sigma male's indifference is terrifying. He operates by his own code, unshackled by societal expectations. He understands a fundamental truth that most never grasp. Sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is to say nothing at all. And when a Sigma male walks away, it's not just an exit, it's an erasure. Sigmas, now you understand why the world should be careful when dealing with an angry Sigma male. It's not about reckless rage, it's about focused, intentional, and unstoppable action. Your strength isn't underestimates you. Remember, your strength isn't in your words. It's in your silence, your discipline, and your ability to walk away with no regrets. And if you resonated with this, make sure to subscribe and like this video to join our community of Sigmas who refuse to conform. Having said this,